Let's go to 1 Corinthians 12. That's the last passage we read this morning. We'll continue from there. Verse 1, now concerning spiritual gifts, brothers and sisters, I don't want you to be unaware. You know that when you were pagans, you used to be enticed and led astray by mute idols. Therefore, I want you to know that no one is speaking by the Spirit of God that says Jesus is cursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. Now, there are different gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different ministries, but the same Lord. And there are different activities, but the same God produces each gift in each person. A manifestation of the Spirit is given to each person for the common good. Say common good. We discussed that lengthily this morning. To one is given word of wisdom. Message of wisdom will be a bad rendering. Through the Spirit. To another, word of knowledge by the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by the same Spirit. To another, the performing of miracles. To another, prophecy. To another, distinguishing between spirits or discerning of spirits. To another, different kinds of tongues. To another, interpretation of tongues. One and the same Spirit is active in all these, distributing to each person as he wills. Now, we already discussed that the emphasis that is growing in the Corinthian letters is concern for one another. And the specific topic that we are tracking today is the removal of selfishness. And again, when you only think of yourself, regardless of what will be the effect of your decision on others, that's totally immature. You know, have you noticed a child? The moment a child feels like he is crying, because he's a child, doesn't care where he is. You can't tell a child, hey, you will disturb others. Because the child is a child, immature. And so he doesn't care, you know. The adults will try to observe decorum. A child will not. Because he's a child. That's immaturity. And he doesn't think about others. The parents may say, be quiet, nakakaya. Doesn't care. He just doesn't care. Because he's a child. But the moment you start maturing a little bit, you will begin to think of its effect on others. That's why you can tell that a child is maturing fast if at a young age he starts or she starts considering the effect of his or her actions on others. Okay? For example, you will find a lot of immature people during public gatherings. They don't care. One of the things that offended me when I first came here to the U.S., adults, pastors, in the middle of a service, they don't care if they disturb anybody. They walk in late. And have you noticed the Americans, Filipinos, when we walk in a public gathering, we kind of bow our heads a little bit, right? Yeah, you like excuse me. Americans, no, they just... And then they'll turn around, they look like everybody's looking at them, and they just don't care. They just don't care if they disturb others. That's immaturity, because there has to be some consideration of others. Now, that selfishness and lack of concern about its effect on others is what prevents people also from being used by God. Now, when we talk about the gifts of the Spirit, John Austin said this: you don't need to be mature to operate in the gifts. But it takes maturity to handle the gifts. In Texas, they have Second Amendment in full swing. Kenneth Copeland was saying that his son, John Copeland was in a great age, And he was going to teach him how to use shotguns. And so they were in the garage and said, John, this is a shotgun, because it's a common home defense weapon here. And he's elementary. And then when he was about to show him how to use the shotgun, the phone rang. And so Gloria called and said, Ken, you need to answer the phone. So he told his son, hey, don't touch anything. This is a shotgun. It's loaded. Don't touch anything. Wait for me. I'm just going to answer the phone. And John Copeland, the young age, says, yes, sir. He went inside and he heard this boom. A shotgun is different. It'll shock you. There's a different kick. There's a different noise. Boom! And so he finished the phone call. He went in the garage. There's a big hole in the garage because it's loaded with a slug. And so he just created a hole in the garage. Why? Because John is immature. You don't need to be an adult to handle a gun. But it takes maturity to know how to handle a gun. You know what I'm saying? So the gifts of the Spirit is the same. It doesn't need anybody to be mature to operate in the gifts. It needs maturity to handle it. Same with the skills. Okay? If you are a gifted person, you don't need to be mature to be gifted. And we see a lot of people talented in music, in arts, in whatever area of giftedness. But they are children. Okay? They are children. They don't know how to handle it. And so you flatter them, the immaturity shows a forth. And here you are, you have in the church some very gifted people or wherever, some very gifted people, they don't know how to handle their gifts. And so they begin to have this superstar complex. I mean, they think they're the best singer there is. Well, they're not. But the parents perhaps told them, you're so good. And so the head grows big, you know, and when the head grows big, they don't know where to put it. And so flattery, and you with children, you have to be very careful, especially when your kids are growing up, because parents, you can, in the desire to encourage your kids, you can flatter them. And you can begin to make them think that they are the best when they are not. Okay? Why is it that they are not the best? Simply because you don't know everybody with the same talent. You know, they're saying before that when Michael Jordan was playing, he was the greatest. Now they're saying that perhaps LeBron had already surpassed him. Now we don't know how true it is, but it's all flattery. I told you about Nick Saban when his team was number one for years. So he was just talking with Bill Belichick, and he was asked, your team is very talented. You lost a game, and you're not number one anymore. How can a super talented team lose a game to a bad team? Have you noticed good teams, they normally lose games to bad teams, not to good teams? And I like the answer of Nick Saban. He said, the reason why we lost is because my team stopped listening to me. So he was asked, why did your team stop listening to you? And he told the news media, they stopped listening to me because of you. Because of what you write. You write that they are almost Superman, that they can do this, they can do that. And so they read what you wrote. And so it got into their heads. And because it got into their heads, they stopped listening to me. They start listening to you. They are listening to the wrong people. That's called flattery. Okay. And so in the church, because of that, and in the families because of that, the children stop listening to parents, and the church stop listening to the leadership because you begin to think you're the best thing there is. Well, you're not. That's just a matter of fact. You're not. If you are, then you'll be the richest person, the most sought after person. How many people ask for your autograph in the first place? You see, that's one sign. But flattery will make you think you are more than who you are. Now, that's why in the scriptures now it says, if you are mature, do not think of yourself more highly than you ought. The moment you start thinking more highly than you ought, you are entering into the area of a very destructive negative force. It's called flattery. Are you listening? People will greet you all kinds of things. They're lying. Okay? They'll say, you're the best singer that I've ever heard. Well, maybe he doesn't even listen to music. You see? But that flattery is very destructive. You know, so, some people asked me before in this house that I was so hard on John. He's falling asleep again. You know, they said I'm very hard on John. You know why? Because John is a very talented and gifted child of mine. And I remember John when you were a lot younger. Almost each of the, if I forget the name of a member of the church, I'll ask John. John, what is the name of this member? And John remembers. Yeah. And then some of you, when he was young, no more now, you gave yourself nicknames. Like John will say, Tita X, gorgeous, you know. So John will remember. And so I remember a lot of parents will begin to flatter John, say, oh, John is very talented and very smart. And they'll, what do you think, Pastor? I said, a smart person doesn't miss his homework. A smart person doesn't get late. And so some members went after me and began to say, why are you hard on John? Because I love John and you don't. Yeah. Because I have to live with him and I want to watch him succeed. But some outsiders will begin to flatter a young heart like that. You flatter him. And he can be tempted to begin to think of himself more highly than they ought. And some kids, they begin to realize as they age that they are not the best thing there is. And so it shocks them. I thought I can do everything. Well, you can't. Because that is not in the Bible that you can do everything. It says you can do everything through Christ or in Christ. If you are not operating in Christ, you're practically useless. You have to attach in Christ, you see. And whatever you do that is not of faith is sin. And so it takes maturity to handle the giftings that God wants to manifest in your life. That's why in the presence of giftedness in the church is still lacking. In the presence of giftedness in a family, the family is still lacking. Have you noticed if we talk to each family, boy, everybody's gifted in the family, and then you wonder, why in the world that you lack so much? Because of flattery. You see, it's not handled properly. And so, here, the immaturity of the Corinthians is because of that. They begin to think of themselves more highly than they ought. And so now, they become selfish. And the moment they become, if you are watching these impeachment proceedings, your head will shake because on both sides, it seems like there is no room for reason on both sides because of the kind of selfishness that developed among our politicians. So, now the question that I would like to address tonight is this: what endangers? You know, I've taught you what the gifts of the Spirit are. It's not appropriate at this point to go back to it and explain them. So now we have to address this question: what endangers the full operation of these gifts of the Spirit? Again, two kinds of categories: distributed gifts and appointed gifts. Now, what endangers it? I'll tell you a story which I have repeated so many times. Gifts is for the common good of the body, okay? We have a cell member in our church in the Philippines. Her son was a classmate of mine in engineering school. Boy, this is a phenomenal lady, a cell leader. Her husband works in Saudi Arabia. She prays for the sick. Man, they get healed. At the height of her ministry, a member of her cell got so sick and was clinically pronounced dead. Just died. The heart stopped beating, brain stopped functioning, clinically dead. She was on her way to the hospital. Prayed for the person who was clinically dead. Laid hands on this person and the person came back to life. That's a cell leader. She is not a worship leader. She's a cell leader, housewife. Husband works in Saudi Arabia. They have money. And because of that, the cell members, being immature, begin to whisper to her ears, you're the best cell leader that our church has. Man, you can have your own ministry. You can build your own church. It got into her head. So she decided she left our church. Upon leaving our church, she decided that she will have her own church. So she continued her Bible study. Well, she found out the moment she separated, not every member of her cell stayed loyal to her because they're loyal to the church. So it never stayed with her. Her ministry flopped. And she said this, I'm praying for the sick now, they're not getting healed. Why? You were flattered. The gifts of the Spirit are given for the common good. You remove yourself from that common community. You remove yourself. What's the use? Why will God make you? Why will the Lord allow the operation of the gifts in your? For example, if you're a government worker, say you are head of the telephone committee, and so you approve all the telephone that is being sold in the U.S. You approve who will handle the phone. And you have such power. You sign these requisitions, it's approved. Well, you decided you're the best telephone person there is. So you resigned and you decided to start your own country. You woke up after that and you realize you don't have the resources that you used to have. Why will the U.S. government give you the resources? You are no longer part of the community. The same thing with God. That's why it's for the common good. And so people get a shock of their life when they detach themselves from the community. Suddenly, the giftedness is no longer manifesting. The resources are no longer there because you are no longer operating as part of the community. Now, having said that, let's continue reading verse 12 because we're going to be talking about what endangers the full operation of these gifts of the Spirit in your life. What will make you stop being useful and you still start feeling useless? Okay? Verse 12. For just as the body is one and has many parts, and all the parts of the body, though many, are one body, so also is Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free. And we were all given one Spirit to drink. Indeed, the body is not one part but many. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I don't belong to the body, it is not for that reason any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I don't belong to the body, it is not for that reason, any less a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be? But as it is, God has arranged each parts of the body, in the body, just as He wanted. And if they were all the same part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, but one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you. Or again, the head cannot say to the feet, I don't need you. On the contrary, those parts of the body that are weaker are indispensable. And those parts of the body that we consider less honorable, we clothe these with greater honor. Now, take note of those passages. And our unrespectable parts. By the way, you put this, those seeming dishonorable, those seeming unrespectable parts. Because we just look at certain parts as insignificant. We don't know if they're insignificant. Can you see your liver? Anybody have seen their liver? Is it insignificant? It seems insignificant because you can't see it. But it is very significant. They say right now you can survive with only one kidney. Is it true? You know why we say that? We are ignorant. If we can survive with only one kidney, why did God give us One is spare, right? That is that is our elementary explanation. There is always a reason why God put two. So if one is a backup for whom? For you. That's why now we say just give away the other one. And it worked. But we really don't know the extent of these effects on our body. But it is hidden. Do you like to see your blood? Anybody wants to see their blood? We want it hidden. We don't want to see ourselves bleeding. But we protect our blood a lot. Why? Because that is a very significant part of staying alive. But we want it to stay hidden. You want to check if you have blood? Let's cut a little bit, Oh, it's flowing. You don't want to do that, okay? So, what verse am I in now? 24. Which our respectable parts do need. Indeed, God has put the body together, look at this, giving greater honor to the less honorable. Again, put the word seemingly. Giving greater honor to the seemingly less honorable. So that there would not be division in the body, but that the members would have the same concern for each other. That is the solution to division. Okay, right there. So if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it. If one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now, you are the member of Christ and individual members of it. And God has appointed these in the church, first apostles, next prophets, then teachers, then miracles, then gifts of healing, helping, administrating various kinds of tongues. Are all apostles? The answer is no. Are all prophets? Again, the answer is no. Are all teachers? The answer is no. Do all do miracles? The answer is no. So really, even the teaching that everybody can do miracles, actually, it's not true. Because that is a gift also that not everybody can do. Do all have gifts of healing? The answer is no. Do all speak in other tongues? Do all interpret? But desire the greater gifts. And I will show you an even better way. I'll deal with that in our next meeting, okay? So we already discussed that the gifts of the Spirit, the appointed and distributed, are for the common good. That is for the good of the body. So why is Jesus so concerned about the good of the body? Why is he concerned about, like he's overtaken by this, what is best for the body? Because it is his body. I mean, you should be concerned about your physical health. Why? Because if it is your health, a lot of people like to, well, I don't care how I look. Of course you care how you look. You mean you want to look like garbage? There will be abnormality there in your psyche if you want to look like garbage, because it's not good. You want to look good. You want to take care of yourself. Listen, even those people who have difficulty, for example, losing weight, and they say, well, this is my makeup, you are still concerned. Because of our society right now, we are not living in the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, fat is beautiful. Well, we are in the 21st century, If you want fat to be beautiful, go back to the Middle Ages. Because that is when fat is beautiful. Not now, because we know certain health issues already. So really, one of the biggest businesses to have in the U.S. right now is health foods, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Because we work hard to lose weight, and then we work hard to gain weight. After that, we lose weight again. Why do we do that? Because we know the health benefits. And so, Christ is very concerned about the health of the body of Christ because it is his body. Even as we are very passionate about our own bodies. We are passionate about how we look, how we feel, because it's our body. I tell people, you can take it seriously or as a joke, I'll feed you everything, anything. You know why? It's not my body. I really don't, they said the moment you turn 40, your body changes. Well, I know that, But I don't just feed myself anything now because I'm getting a lot older. But for a young, you want Coke? Go ahead, drink Coke. You want chocolate? I'll give you all the chocolate. It's not my body. So each of the gifted member and each of the gifted member and each member who's operating the gifts will only be able to function effectively the moment they realize that they belong to each other. Competition has no room in the same body. Okay? Have you ever experienced your hand competing against your feet? Right? You don't, right? Because each member of our body knows that they belong to the same body. The moment your hand start competing against your feet, that means it's sick. Or you are sick. Say, for example, you feel the need that you have to put your shoes in your hands. I mean, you have this sick. I want to put shoes on my hands. You are sick. That's the only way it will happen. But normally, the shoes will belong to the feet. Normal, for a normal person. And if you start saying, I'm going to put gloves on my feet, you are sick. There's something wrong up here. Right? The moment you start saying, I want to eat using my feet, I want to put fork and spoon on my feet, you are so sick. You belong somewhere else. But in a normal body, your body parts will never compete with each other. The outsiders will compete. But, there's a buffet place. Your hand will look at the food that you like, that your mind dictates, and will pick it up. Who will compete against you? The one next to you in line. Hey, bilisan mo nga. That's the competition coming from the outside, but not from the inside. Because that's a normal body. So there should be no competition within the body. Are we competing against each other? Huh? Sometimes. Question. Lion's heart. Are we competing against each other? She said no. She said sometimes. Who else has an answer? Are we competing against each other? At some levels. Why? Immaturity. And sometimes we are sick. That's the only way you can compete against each other. That's why the moment that happens, then we cannot really be used. Competition has no place in one body with many members. How do you know if it is part of the body? You know that you are part of the body and you consider yourself part of the body if you are in communion with the body and you are doing your part in the body. Did you hear that? My hands naturally does its part. There was not a time in my being me na nagtampo yung kamay ko. My hand says, you don't buy me. You don't buy me gloves. I want leather gloves. So I'm not going to feed you. No, it never. I don't remember any time that my hands nagtampo. Or my feet start whining. You don't. I heard that my son just bought a very expensive. I want to knock his head off, Because my wife was telling me that he bought. The moment I see him in Oklahoma this time, one of the first things I would like to do is just knock his head off. Knock it off. Yeah, because I was told that he bought a very expensive shoes. But I never I never remember any parts of my body whining. Never. Why? Because it's one unit. If one part of my body starts whining and starts saying, I'm not going to do my part, I become sick. In fact, have you noticed when you are hungry and there's no food, your mind has a way of telling your body, you can endure it. Your mind cooperates, right? Especially when there's no food, you can endure it. If your mind cannot cooperate, oh, you're going to die. You're sick. The moment there is no food and your mind is saying, you're going to die, you have no food, you are sick. Because you will find your body adjusts to any given circumstances so that you will survive. That's a healthy body. Okay? Now, I want you to keep that in your head. So, first is communion. And again, this is why one should no one should, what we were discussing this morning, no one should partake of the communion unworthily. Jesus will never look at them with ease or favor. They will be dealt with accordingly by the Lord. So the enemy of this unity or communion is actually pride. How do you discern pride within the community? Because humility is a tricky thing. The moment you realize you have it, you just lost it, you know. Have you ever heard a humble person announce, I am so humble? Oh, really? This is one trick. Humility is a very tricky thing. The moment you realize you have it, you just lost it. Pride is the same thing. The moment you realize you are not proud, you just accumulated it. You know? This is one trick. But then we have to address, there's a healthy recognition of humility because Jesus said, for I am meek and humble. Jesus can say that. But he never developed pride in saying that. So, how do you know that that pride is beginning to sit in your being from what we read? Okay? You know that pride is beginning to sit when one thinks that only one part of the body should be recognized all the time. Okay, from verses 14 to 15. When you think that only one part of the body should be recognized. Have you noticed, for example, in a family, my kids goes through this, who is your favorite child? Right? That's a question of pride. The disciples asked the question, who is the greatest? That's a question of pride. You know, a healthy member of the family will outgrow it, and they will no longer say, you know that the kids are growing maturely when they stop asking who is the favorite child. Did you hear me, DJ? Okay. So, when a child keeps asking, who is your favorite child? That is still immaturity. I'm not saying it's a wrong question. I'm just saying it's immaturity. Because you come to a point you don't ask the question anymore. Because you know you belong. When you know you belong, you don't ask that question. You know you eat, you are provided for. You don't ask the question anymore. But some people, KSP in Filipino, right? What is KSP? Kulang sa pansin. Translate that. You lack looks. You know? What? Lack of attention. Yeah, lack of attention. Some people, have you noticed some people, they do foolish things and they want attention. Some people do everything for you to get attention. They do crazy something. What is that guy doing? Trying to get attention, right? Some of these people just crazy. They do stupid things just to get attention. They eat flames. Why will you eat fire? You know, they roll over. They just want attention. They do crazy stuff. They know it's wrong. Some kids will say, watch me. I'm going to wash my hands in the toilet bowl. Why? So that the janitors would say, stop, stop, stop. Let them wash their hands in the toilet bowl. Let them enjoy, And then don't shake their hands. Don't go near them. They're weird. They're sick, Have you noticed among the kids? The parents tell the kid, don't do that. The more they do it. And then while they're doing it, they're looking. You know what I'm talking about, right? They're looking. I have my kids when they're growing up and they're crying. Don't cry. Of course, everybody's paying attention. And they're looking. And then they'll stop crying when we're not looking. And then we were looking. Because we're looking again, right? They're just looking for attention. These are immature, sick people. Yeah. Do you know the richest person on earth? Who is the richest person on earth? Can anybody tell me? Huh? Who? Bill Gates? Who else? Who wants to guess? Some random Indian guy. What's the name? Random? Okay. So, who else? Unknown. You know why? The richest person on earth don't want to be noticed. Because he will be taxed more. Or have you noticed the moment you parade, I have money, people, can I borrow? Can I borrow? Because you don't want people to know you have money. Because people will come to you for help, they will ask for money. You don't want to know. They say the richest people on earth, you don't know. I mean, there's this Mexican guy, you drink water, he makes money. You make a phone call, he makes money. We don't know how much his worth is, really. And so there are some, have you seen the Chinese shop? You wonder where they're getting their money. They say that perhaps some of the richest people are Chinese. We don't know. But the people who say they're the richest, they're probably not the richest. I mean, you look at our community, you look at the church, you look at the people that you know. Those people who brag they have money, they have no money. Believe me. Because people with money don't brag that they have money. They want to hide it. They want to hide it. They say that the richest people, you never know. The former owner of Detroit Tigers is a Christian. He owned the Detroit Tigers. He started this pizza, the one that our member operates, Domino's Pizza, and then he owns the hospital, one of the best hospitals in Detroit. He's a multi-billionaire. One day, I'm reading this book, and there's this young doctor who was going to apply to that hospital. And he was sitting in an airplane, economic class, with this old man. And the old man started carrying a conversation and said, young man, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go to Detroit. I'm applying for a job in this hospital. And he began to say, you know that this hospital is owned by the owner of the Detroit Tigers? And the owner owns Domino's Pizza? And the old man says, really? Yeah. Oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to make it. If I go to this hospital, maybe I'll be a physician for the Detroit Tigers. And maybe I'll make it big, and he's well-dressed. And finally, before they land, the old man says, hey, by the way, give me a call when you're ready for your interview. Maybe I can help you. And the young man says, how can you help me? Because this old man doesn't look like he's got anything. He said, well, young man, I just would like you to know, I used to own Detroit Tigers. And the young man says, no, you don't. Because if you used to own the Detroit Tigers, you will be in the first class cabin. You are sitting in economy with me. And the old man just simply said, well, it's up to you. And then it turned out he is the real owner of the Detroit Tigers. He doesn't want people to know. Have you heard of that guy who travels all around the U.S.? He's very good in the stock market, and all he does is give away money. Have you heard of that? Remember that? All he does is give away money. Well, he will come to Chicago and find places to give money. He's very good in the stock market. He can with pinpoint accuracy, he knows what stock will work. And so he doesn't even own a house. He goes to these little motels and be there for 3 months and just give away money. And then one day, somebody found out, was able to trace him, and he woke up one day, opened the door of this little motel in Chicago, and there's the news media. And he got upset. He said, now people know me. I'll have difficulty giving away my money. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't want people to know. You know? And this is what I'm saying about the common good. Some people, people who brags the most, who are loud, who's got people with an opinion on everything, they're the most ignorant ones. Okay. Wise people listen and are very calculated. That's why a lot of young people talk too much. Why? They don't know anything. Right, DJ? But the moment you develop wisdom, you are calculated. You don't have to prove anything anymore. That's why the young ones who talk too much, that's all it is. They just talk too much. They have nothing. Now, the moment, that's why I don't like it when people say, I'm going to teach you how to become a millionaire. Are you a millionaire? No, I'm not. How can you teach me how to become a millionaire? You're not a millionaire. You want to learn how to become a millionaire? Listen to people like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. They know how to become millionaires. They're even billionaires. But you listen to a person who's barely making it, they'll teach you how to become a millionaire. They need to be quiet. Are you listening? Oh, you're not listening, okay? So, you know that pride is there when one thinks that all the attention has to be in them. Okay? Pride is there when one thinks he does not belong. There is this member of Victory Church. I told you about this. I like this. I wish I saved the video, because he's got a problem. Member of Victory Church in the Philippines. His problem is he is very handsome. Have you seen the video? And he's so handsome, he feels off with his church. And his pastor counseled him and say, that is your cross. You're so handsome. He said, when I go to church, everybody looks at me. And nobody's looking at you. You're the only one looking at yourself. Who cares about you anyways? But some people become so conscious, everybody's looking. Nobody's looking at you. Yeah. Well, people are asking me questions. Of course, because you're human. People will ask you questions. Hey, DJ, how are you doing? Of course, that's normal. People will ask you questions because you're human. And that's a normal icebreaker. My friend Ovidio, the Romanian, was so shocked because the first time he came to the U.S., you know how Americans are. Hey, how are you doing? They don't mean it. Have you noticed that? You walk in the store, right? People that you have never met, how are you doing? Don't answer him. Because the moment you answer, I'm doing fine, how about you? He's gone. That's courtesy in the U.S. So Ovidio told me that he was so offended the first time he came to the U.S. because he went to Regent University with me. And so people were asking, how are you doing? And he said, oh, I'm doing fine. And, I have this. The person is gone. What's wrong with this? That's common courtesy, right? I mean, I walk in a store, I see somebody whom I don't know and I don't care about. How do you do? How do you do? Okay, and you just keep walking. Okay. You don't look back. You don't care. But you see him again. How do you do? Okay. Just that's just how it is. But some people think that oh, I don't belong. No, nobody cares about me. There are some people who cares about you. You know, when your family cares about you, that's enough. You really don't want that many people to care about you, to be honest. You don't. Can you imagine if everybody cares about you? They'll ask you the moment you walk in, how are you doing, Sister Nikki? How are you doing? And they ask the same question, how are you doing, Sister Nikki? Shut up, you know. You don't want that many people to care about you anymore. Because that's a person, the moment a person starts developing pride, he begins to think that nobody cares about him. Of course, not everybody will care about you. Who are you anyways? Just get hold of yourself. You know, just get hold of yourself. But there will be some people who really cares about you. And that's all. In church growth, they say that if 5 people know you in the church, that's enough reason for you to go back to church. Just 5 people. In fact, sometimes, you don't want to bother. Anne is taking care of this old lady. How old is she, Anne? Where's Anne? 91. She doesn't want people talking to her. She's got a favorite neighbor before who used to, an old person. Can you imagine an old person taking care of another old person? They will both die, you know. You don't need a younger, you need a younger person. Before, when they were a little bit younger, when they were 76, you know, they can perhaps throw the garbage. But now the neighbor called her, hey, Elizabeth, how are you doing? I'm fine. I don't want to talk to anybody. That's what she said. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'll hang up now. If you want, what's the weather? Who cares? I'm 91. Do I care about weather? Whether you like it or not, I don't. You know. Pride is also there when you cannot accept God's arrangements. What is God's arrangements? This is your hand. That's your foot. That's your head. He arranged it that way. I don't like my face. Tough luck. That's your face. Right? Can you imagine how horrible it is? You look at the mirror, I don't like my face. That's your face. That's God's arrangement. Then my wife is very concerned about me now because she said, you're losing hair. Do I really care? I'm not a young man anymore. I am married. I have 5 kids. I've got a beautiful wife. I'm happy with my kids. Do you think I care about this? If my wife wake up one day and say, sweetheart, I don't like your hair. Do I care? You're stuck with me already unless you want to offend God and divorce me, you know. But we're not even thinking about that. You're stuck with me for the rest of my life. But a young man will care. You know, he goes to the mirror. Hey, how long are you going to be there? That's your face, young man. That's your face. You know. In the church, it's the same. You have to accept that each of us have certain role. You know, I am the senior pastor here. That's it. Well, I don't like it. What are you going to do about it? Well, I want to preach, pastor will say. You know what I'm saying? I never walk up to Hansel in any given day and say, Hansel, I'm going to take over the piano right now. No, I'm not going to do that. Diba? Tugtog kang do, re, mi. You cannot do that. Because each person, well, I don't know how many people tell me, well, Pastor said, I don't like this. You know, I will not give you names. I don't like this usher of yours. Like, I just smile. Why you don't like the usher? Well, no. Okay, and I walk away. Goodbye. Some people ask me, I don't like the chairs. Then buy new ones. Give me some money. Give me $85,000. I'll change the chairs. But if you don't have $85,000 to give me, shut up and sit down, you know. That's just the way it is. Right? But a person of pride cannot accept that. I have to be there. Really? It will kill you. It'll kill you. We already know this in championship teams where there's a lot of talents involved. Sooner or later, you've got to accept who your leader is. They say that when the Miami Heat won their championship, who's this? Wade. What's his first name? Dwayne Wade was the phenomenal leader of the team. LeBron James is transferred from the former team. What was his former team? The Cavaliers, yeah. The losing one, right? So he just moved from there and went to Miami. And he said this, what gave him relief was in their first locker room meeting, Dwayne Wade approached him and said, James, I'm the leader of this team, but I know that you are more talented and you've got more skills. That's why he brought you here. You are it. He said, James, you are the leader of this team now. It's not me. He said, they respect me, but you are the leader. You tell me what you want, I'm here. That's when they won the championship. But Dwayne Wade is a very talented leader. I mean, a better leader than LeBron. That's why he can say that. But he can accept his role is diminishing. When Magic Johnson was getting old and his team is getting old, he told his team, the manager, hey, listen, deduct from my salary. We need to hire this young man. Otherwise, the Lakers is not going to go anywhere. So he voluntarily reduced his salary. He's a leader of the team, though. But he went to the new ones and began to say, you are it. You see? Now, pride is when you think you are the center of attention, when everybody should, oh, you never shake my hand. That's pride, really. You need to accept that different people have different roles. When you cannot accept God's arrangement, that's when you make a monster out of a beautiful arrangement. Okay? Can you imagine if your feet gets tired and say, I don't want to stay touching the ground. I want people to start looking at me. So you attach your face, you attach yourself to the face. So you have a foot sticking out of your face. You will look like a monster. Listen, God makes arrangement in the body of Christ. We have some phenomenal evangelists. Don't get envious with them. You know, there are some phenomenal singers. Don't get envious with them. They have their part. There are some phenomenal preachers, phenomenal teachers. Don't get envious with them. That's their part. That's their role. Accept it. Why did God arrange it that way? That's His will. That's His design. How do you know pride is in play? When one thinks he doesn't need the other members of the body. You know? When you begin to say, well, I don't need you. Whoa, that's a statement of pride. Because in the body of Christ, we really need each other. I'll explain further, okay? So, how do you know that one is endeavoring to build and keep the unity of the body? Because when you begin to endeavor to build and keep the unity of the body and wants to be useful in the body of Christ, that's when the gifts of the Spirit can really begin manifesting in your life. You know, Jesus, at one time, and we can participate on this. Jesus at one time was approached by his aunt. Okay. The name of the aunt is I forgot her name. I think it's Salome or something. What's the name of John's and James' mother? Elizabeth. Was it Elizabeth? I forgot. You know, the mom of James and John. Okay. It's one of the aunts of Jesus. So they said, well, I'm an aunt of Jesus. Maybe she will listen to me. And so she sat down with Jesus one day, and Jesus said, hey, Tita, what can I do for you? The moment you're called Tita, oh, I am Tita to Jesus. And she said, can you have one of my boys sit on your right hand? And Jesus said, really? What about the other one? On your left. That's pride right there. Now, Jesus doesn't want to humiliate her aunt. So, he said, well, that is reserved by my Father. Can you imagine Jesus did not say, okay. Jesus said, whoa, that's not my role. That is already reserved. Whoever will sit on my right was reserved by God. Why? Because the woman is blind. She doesn't know what she's asking. So Jesus said to John and James, are you willing to be baptized with the baptism that, meaning, are you willing to suffer with me? Okay. But then let me ask you this. To whom is the right hand of Jesus reserved for? Who is going to sit there? Paul? Peter? Maybe me. Certainly not you, John. Okay? So don't think about it. Okay? Who's going to sit on the right hand? Who is? The church. We are seated at the right hand of God. We are seated at the right hand of Jesus. We are there. That's our position. Who desired it? And it was not given to him. Lucifer. I will sit beside. Yeah. And I say it. And God says, no, it's not for you. It's for the church. It's for the body of Christ. Yeah. That's what it is. And I told you last Friday what Ben-Ami means, right? Did I teach you that? Right hand of sorrow. That's why Jesus asked the question, man of sorrows, right? Jesus in the right hand of the Father. That's why, are you willing to suffer the sufferings that I suffer? That is reserved for that. Meaning, that is reserved for his body who is willing to suffer with him and rejoice with him. So if you always want to take it easy and be on the safe side, it's not for you. Okay? So, how do you know that you are endeavoring to keep the unity of the body? Number one, when one recognizes that there are different parts and different functions. Know your part, know your function. If you say, well, I don't know my part, that's too bad. That's really too bad. Because as a member of the body of Christ, you have a part. Well, I'm not doing anything. It's not the fault of the body. It's your fault. Well, I'm not doing anything, Pastor will say. Well, do something. You know. If you want to ask me what you want to do, there's a lot of things to be done. I'll give you to Brother Juni. He'll let you plow the snow. Well, I don't like that part. That is your problem. That is your problem. Why don't you start picking up some dirt in the church, you know? You start ushering. Well, I don't like that part. What part do you want? I want to be the worship leader. I wanna preach. Oh, you want my part? Get it? You know, ask Jesus for that. You see? This is what I'm saying. You know that you're endeavoring to keep the unity of the body when you recognize that there are different parts of the body. Number two. In recognizing these differences, one will recognize that naturally some people will receive more honor than the others. When one receives more honor than the others, it doesn't mean that the others are less honorable. What do you think is the most important part of your body? The heart. Can you see your heart? No. But that is where the breastplate of righteousness is. It covers the part that cannot be seen. The breastplate of righteousness does not cover the head. It does not cover the ear. You can lose your ear and you will still survive. You can lose your hair. You will still survive. I mean, look at Michael Jordan, you know. He survives with no hair. But you cannot lose your heart. That's why that breastplate of righteousness that protects protects the heart. Right? Your feet have shoes. You wanna buy the best shoes for yourself, because if your feet gets damaged and can't go anywhere, you will be as good as a paralyzed person. Now, your head will not say, your ear will not say, I want that expensive shoes. You want to hang the expensive shoes on your ear? No. You see what I'm saying? And some of the parts of your body that looks, the liver. What is the function of the liver? Huh? What? Oh, I thought it's used to make liver spread. No, it's not. It's not. That toxin, it absorbs the toxins to the body so that you will not be poisoned, right? Can you see your liver? You can see your liver. It's protected. And you have to protect it. You protect your kidney. You protect your heart. You protect your blood vessels. Because if your blood cannot go through your system, you'll die. You see? These are seemingly less honorable parts. Can you imagine your liver processing all of those toxins? How about your intestines? You know what you put in those intestines? You don't want to know. You know, it looks less honorable. Boy, but it's very important. You lose your digestive system, you're dead. You see? But what is seemingly the most honorable part of your body? The face. People always see your face. How valuable it is. You think it's as valuable, but maybe not so. Some of the people with the most beautiful face, the most crafted face, are the most sick ones. Look at Michael Jackson when he was alive. You can't even pinch his nose. It may get off. Right? Look at how healthy my kids are. I can pinch their nose. It doesn't get off. Right? It's the most presentable part, but maybe not the most important part. That's why now look at this now, huh? That's why what we see is what we think are the most honorable part. Now, in the church, of course, as far as worship is concerned, you can always see Hansel and the worship team. Teaching, preaching, you can always see me. But maybe, being the face and being the leader, maybe I'm not the most important part. Who is the most important part? The ones that you cannot see. Yeah. Who do you think in this church prays for me the most? You do not know. You do not know. Who do you think in this church prays for the health of the church the most? You do not know. Why? Because they're the ones who doesn't seem presentable. You see what I'm getting at? And you know that you are working towards the unity because you just don't care anymore. You see? Doesn't care anymore. James was flexed his bicep. Was it last night? Yeah, James, and I begin to realize that he is developing some bicep muscles. It's shaping up, you know. Is he really strong? Some are fake, you know. Some people do the same. It's fake. But think about it. There are some people with disfigured faces, but they keep living healthy lives. And so what they do is they do everything to cover it. They do plastic surgery, but it's the weakest part of their body. Yeah. But some people have strong heart. They have strong heart. Man, you know, your heart is a muscle. So athletes have bigger heart. Some of these athletes, especially the runners, they're very skinny. Have you seen marathon runners? And they're skinny. They're not the ones that you will put on the beauty pageant. But boy, their hearts are strong. Some people say they have the heart of a horse. But you don't make them as models. Who's the fastest runner before? Saddam Hussein? No, not that one. Well, it took a long time for them to catch him, right? so, 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 who's this guy? Hussein Bolt, right? You're not gonna make that boy a model for anything except shoes, right? Because Bolt, because he was very fast, right? Not as fast as Saddam Hussein, I'm telling you. But you will not make him a model of a lot of things. But for sure, he was a skinny guy. Have you seen the Kenyan runners? Man, they look like they're ready to go to the grave sometimes, right? But they have big heart. You will not outrun these people. I mean, they're fast. They feel like they're always running for their lives. And so they're. But it's just, they can run fast. Yeah. You think they're concerned about their face? They're concerned about survival. Yeah. Some people very concerned about their face. They have no heart. They have no heart. Who do you think harvests these aborted babies, fetuses? Collagen. For cosmetic purposes. They have no heart. You see what I'm saying? Now, therefore, if you are concerned for the unity of the body, you're not really concerned about cosmetics. You protect what seemingly are the weakest, vulnerable parts. Why? Because if you don't, you suffer. Now, this is now the thing. So how does one keep the unity of the body then? Or participate in the unity? Let me read to you again, verse 20 to 26. On the contrary, those parts of the body that are weaker are indispensable. And those parts of the body that we consider less honorable, we clothe these with greater honor. And our unrespectable parts are treated with greater respect, which our respectable parts do not need. Indeed, God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the less honorable, so that there would be no division in the body, but that the members would have the same concern for each other. So if one member suffers, all the members suffers with it. If one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. So how do you keep the unity of the body? From that passage, this is the answer. You give honor to the less honorable. This is what prevents division. Okay? Our problem is we tend to give more honor to the ones that looks honorable. Yeah. For example, if a person is very beautiful, so spend all of his money to keep it beautiful. You give more honor to the. In return, you forsake the other parts of the body. Now, this is bad among Filipinos, but if you're a Filipino, of course, you know this. There's a couple of provinces in the Philippines. I will not mention to you what. If you're a Filipino, you know what. Let's just pretend we don't know, okay? There's a couple of provinces in the Philippines wherein the women will starve, but they will buy makeup. I'm not saying anything. It's just you see, that is their reputation. They will buy all the makeups, even if they are starving, because they are very concerned about looking externally beautiful. But there is also a province in the Philippines. They don't look like they have that much, but they are loaded. You know, I like this story in I don't know if it's in Ifugao or what. They went down to I think wherever they went down to, pastor in Vegan was telling me the story. And there's two Igorot-looking people. They have vegetables and they want to buy Sarao jeepney. And the one in the dealership doesn't want to pay attention. They're wearing bahag, It's not G-string, it's bahag. How do you tapestry, They are wearing tapestry. And this couple was just, how they walk there? They're just looking like that. And nobody was paying attention to them. They're looking at these two big jeepneys. I think it's $1 million apiece. Mga taga-bundok yan. They don't pay attention. Finally, one salesman, Apo, anong gusto? How much is this? Oh, $1 million pesos. Oh. You like it? Yeah. You want to buy? I want to. Say, I want to. And he get bayong. Puno ng pera. O ito, pambili ng dalawa. Oh, he got a sale. But the people wearing barong, they have no money. So how much? And they spend all the time because they look good. They wear cologne. They smell good. They brush their teeth. But these people are eating nganga. Magkano? $1 million. Pagbili nga dalawa. You see what I'm saying? I think if we stop being judgmental, we will do better. And here, you honor the seemingly less honorable. And you respect the seemingly less respectable. Swedish Covenant Church, they have a drive. When they were expanding, I like this story. They were announcing, it's a free evangelical free church. And they were raising money for their buildings. And they have a nursing home. And I like this story. An old lady living in their nursing home walked, and the receptionist was not paying attention. Oh, just wait. And she was just asking a question. Can I ask a question? And this receptionist was not paying attention. Oh, okay, finally, she gave her attention. Ma'am, what is it that you need? She said, well, I heard you're expanding. I would like to donate. Okay, just leave your check. Because she was thinking, this old lady will give her $50. So, okay, where do I leave the check? Oh, right here. So she left the check. And then the old lady left. She opened the envelope, $20 million. She looks poor. She looks poor. But she actually has money. You see? And I think our problem in the church is we look at people, oh, doktor yan, oh, mukhang lawyer yan. Ay pala, magnanakaw. Yung pala, kaya naka-Amerikana, networking businessman, naghanap ng contact. But sometimes the people that you see are less honorable. Boy, they give. And the people who talk too much, they don't give. Yeah, so. But that's how you prevent division. You start, look, if we can do this, what if we start honoring each other? Yeah. What if we stop looking at ourselves more highly than we ought? What if we stop looking for attention, instead start giving attention to others? It will change the whole makeup of the church. Sometimes we want people to go after us. Stop doing that. Remember the parable of the who is my neighbor? When Jesus answered that, he did not answer the question, who is my neighbor, but answered it this way: who are you a neighbor to? We are asking the wrong question. Well, nobody cares about me. Who are you caring about? It's a wrong question. You don't ask the question, you don't say, nobody cares about me. That's a wrong question. If you want the unity of the body, you don't ask, who cares about me? You ask yourself, who do I care about? And start caring about others. Start thinking how you can express concern for others. When you start adopting that concept, it will remove division in the church. Okay? Well, it's 8:02.